Election bills are still making their way through the legislature. On Wednesday, Governor Little signed a bill that disallows the use of student identification cards as a valid form of ID at the polls. On Friday, the House State Affairs Committee advanced two more bills, one that would do away with signed affidavits in lieu of ID for voters who don't have their identification with them, and one that would create a free identification card for those who don't have driver's licenses and can no longer use their student ID cards to vote. One bill that's dead for the session, a proposal to severely restrict absentee voting to those who are disabled or who are out of state for approved reasons. The House killed that bill on Monday.
If we give false information on an application, we may be subject to a fine of up to $50,000 and/or imprisonment. And that's under federal and state law. So here's the question I'm asking. Are we really comfortable with potentially making the fellow citizens in our state accidental criminals because we put forward a bill that adds unneeded complexity to a system that is currently not at risk of fraud, has not experienced fraud, and has worked just fine for the citizens of this state as is?
You know, the last couple elections, I mean, we've been standing in lines for an hour or more. And it's really difficult, even for healthy people, not only to stand in those lines, but to accommodate the timing. You know, many people go after work, and if they get caught up at work, fully planning to be there that day, they miss that 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock window, they don't get to vote. Doesn't seem very fair.
That isn't the end of election talk. This week, the House passed a massive property tax proposal that sets aside more than $300 million for two projects, helping school districts pay down their existing bonds and levies and providing tax credits for property taxpayers who qualify for the homeowner's exemption. The bill is a combination of two prior proposals from the House and Senate.
I feel like we came into this legislative session with a mandate of sorts to deliver meaningful property tax relief to the taxpayers of Idaho. And it's my belief that through House Bill 292, we will deliver on that mandate. I feel good about particularly three things that this bill does. First, I just like the bottom line. I think that it's more common than it should be to set out to deliver something really meaningful and to end up with something pretty paltry. And I think that this is a good, solid amount of property tax relief. And so from a bottom line standpoint, I'm proud of House Bill 292. Secondly, I love the fact that this is not simply a tax shift. We're not just taking and targeting some winners and paying for it through others that might be deemed losers in this process. We are literally giving relief across the board to property owners and to homeowners without shifting that burden onto anyone else. And third, I think that this is a good bill that is a consensus bill that kind of takes different views that were expressed and shared early in the session, and is a good balance between a focus on delivering relief to property owners across the board, but with a little extra emphasis to primary residence owners who have been particularly hard hit with increased taxes over the last 4 or 5 years.
The Senate Local Government and Taxation Committee approved the bill on Thursday, getting it one step closer to the governor's desk.